If you ever thought to yourself, evil people who will do anything to win are morally bankrupt, I'm a good moral person, and I would never lower myself to act like them, then congratulations. You might be a loser. Here's the brutal truth. There are only two types of people in this world: those who play the game and those who get played. You believe in being good, but the world does not play by the same rules you are bound to. Power dynamics and human nature underpinning it are constantly in effect, as long as you are a human living in a society. You are in this game, whether you like it or not. He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner learns to bring about his own ruin than his preservation. Niccolò Machiavelli, a Florentine diplomat, author, philosopher, and historian who lived during the Italian Renaissance, famous for his work, The Prince, written around 1513, didn't invent this game. But he is famous for publishing his analysis of observed strategic patterns of successful and failed leaders of his day, laying a foundation of rules to abide by for those who seek to gain power, to maintain it, and to keep order and compliance amongst their subjects. You may be a nice, kind person who tries to do good, but that doesn't stop others from potentially taking advantage of your unwillingness to stand up for yourself or protect your interests. Others, including even your family and friends, the people you love and care about, have the capacity to act only in their self-interests at your expense. For example, betrayal of trust. You believed they had your back. They didn't. The friend, the partner, the boss. They were willing to sacrifice you for their own gains. Gaslighting. You spoke your truth. They twisted it, made you question your reality, doubt your sanity. You are left heartbroken, abused by those you truly cared about. Public shaming. You stood up, spoke out, acted with conscience, and for it, they mocked you, isolated you. Truth isn't popular, and crowds throw stones for sport. Indifference. Maybe the worst of all, they saw what happened and did nothing. Because you do not yield influence, you are a non-factor. They turn a blind eye to an injustice done unto you. They simply look away and pretend it never happened, rendering you invisible. Machiavelli speaks from realism, not from wishful thinking. He doesn't write fairy tales. He writes survival guides in a world full of wolves, wearing sheep's clothing, and in his eyes, most people are not brave, noble, or honest. They are weak, cowardly, self-interested, easily manipulated, so why should you put yourself at their mercy? A prince must learn how to act like a beast. He must imitate the fox and the lion. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. So you must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten the wolves. You think working hard is what gets you ahead. Wrong. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. That guy who got the promotion, he didn't work harder. He worked smarter. He showed up at the right meetings. He networked with the right people. He said yes publicly and whispered no privately. You kept your head down, grinding in silence, thinking someone would notice. No one noticed. They promoted the one who managed perception and image. It is unnecessary to have all the good qualities, but it is very necessary to appear to have them. Ever loved someone and got left for someone more exciting? Or watched someone cheat, lie, manipulate, and still get love, attention, respect? Why does this happen? Because in base human nature, love is easily abandoned in favor of power and influence. Men have less scruple in offending one who is beloved than one who is feared. Now, we're not saying be abusive, but you need to understand this. People are drawn to power, emotional, social, even spiritual. They don't respect you because you are nice. They respect you when you're secure, decisive, magnetic. Nice without power equals disposable. You ever notice how certain people always have others orbiting around them? They walk into a room and the energy shifts. That's not an accident. That's virtù in action. Machiavelli's word for power, decisiveness, charisma, force of will. They don't wait for approval. They lead. They laugh loudly. They make moves. They take space. Meanwhile, you're waiting to be invited in, to be liked, to not offend. But the person who offends strategically, who isn't afraid to speak the unspoken, they own the room. You think you're not liked because you're too deep or too real. No, you are not playing the appearance game. You think authenticity means honesty. Machiavelli says authenticity is controlled projection. Master that or fade into the background. How many times have you trusted someone who later used you, gave more than you received, spoke the truth and got mocked, while the liar got praised? That's not bad luck. That's you not reading the room. That's you thinking ethics protect you in an unethical environment. You don't have to become bitter or evil, but you sure better understand how evil moves, or it will eat you alive. Machiavelli's intention is to make you aware. We are much beholden to Machiavelli and others that write what men do and not what they ought to do. For it is possible to join serpentine wisdom with the Columbine innocency, except men know exactly all the conditions of the serpent, his baseness and going upon his belly, his volubility and lubricity, his envy and sting, and the rest. That is, all forms and natures of evil. For without this, virtue lieth open and unfenced. Nay, an honest man can do no good upon those that are wicked to reclaim them, without the help of the knowledge of evil. So the question becomes, if the world is wicked and people are shrewd, how do you play the game better than your opponent? That's where we turn to Machiavelli, not as a villain, but as a realist. It is time to get our hands dirty. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose, because love is conditional, fragile, easily broken. Fear holds, fear obeys, fear remembers. Love is preserved by a bond of obligation, which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for advantage. But fear is sustained by a dread of punishment, which never fails. It is well-documented human psychology that people are motivated to a greater extent by fear than pleasure. This is the beast within us. You are not exempt from it, and to discount it is to not see reality as it is. People will love you until it's inconvenient. They'll smile at you while planning your replacement. But fear, that lingers in the back of their mind. It's what actually keeps the people in order. It's what holds the line. He also stressed that too much liberality will eventually bring chaos to his subjects, and force will be needed to bring order again. This speaks again to the nature of man, that we will take kindness for granted, and we can turn against the ruler quickly if we stand to risk losing our sense of security. Again echoing that fear is a stronger motivator than love. When force must be used to bring order, he advises to do it swiftly, totally, and in one stroke. And once stability is restored, be liberal to the subjects, but never giving too much at once, as they will become dependent on you, and they will always expect more. This is important because he stressed that although it is better to be feared than loved, you should never be hated if you wish to hold on to your power and influence. If you wish to keep the upper hand, you must always be aware of the image you are projecting and how others perceive of you. And if you're thinking, well, I'm not a prince or a CEO, this doesn't apply to me, Machiavelli has one more dagger for your comfort zone. A prince ought to have no other aim or thought, nor take up any other thing for his study, but war and its discipline, for that is the only art expected of a ruler. Translation: even in peace prepare for war, stay sharp, watch the moves others don't. Train yourself in the arts of strategy, timing, image, and influence, or fall to those who do. Because power doesn't wait for you to be ready. It's taken by those who are already moving, while you're still meditating on what's right. He advises that power should not be given away, as he sees it as a zero-sum game. When another gains power, you in turn give up some of your power. Even while you choose to abstain from the game, the world keeps turning, and everything keeps moving. In idleness, you are losing to those who are planning ahead, making moves. Look, Machiavelli doesn't tell you what to value. He tells you what the cost is, depending on the values you choose. You want virtue? Then be strong enough to protect it. You want peace? Then understand war. He isn't making the rules. He's describing the terrain. And once you see the terrain clearly, now you get to decide. Will you walk in blindly and get slaughtered? Or will you walk in with a strategy? You can take ownership over your destiny by helping your chances of success, by outworking your opponents. This he explains through what he called virtù e fortuna. Fortune is the arbiter of half the things we do, but she still leaves the other half, or almost that, to be governed by us. Virtù, which is often conflated with the word virtue, is your agency in the face of fate. It is your cunning, your boldness, your intelligence, your adaptability, everything you do to impose order on chaos, you being at the cause instead at the effect of your reality. Virtù is what made Julius Caesar cross the Rubicon. It's what made Alexander the Great conquer the known world. It's what allows ordinary people to rise up and reshape their fate. Fortuna is fate, chance, chaos, the unpredictable flow of life, pandemics, market crashes, breakups, death, scandals, betrayals, all the things you can't control. Fortuna is a wild river, sometimes calm, sometimes violent. Most people try to float. Machiavelli says, build a dam. Fortune favors the bold, the aggressive, the unrelenting. Fortuna gives her gifts to those who seize them, not those who wait around, hoping. Think of it like this. Fortuna throws the cards. Virtù decides how you play your hand. You don't control the storm, but you can build the ship. You don't control betrayal, but you can plan a counterattack. You don't control outcomes, but you control your position, your image, your moves. In other words, you make your own luck. This has been your reality check from Machiavelli. If you are here, then you must be the small few who wish to be free, brave, courageous, and strong, to stand up for what you believe in. You will not stand idle while your values and principles get trampled on. Understand the game and do not shy away from it. Use your power and influence to leave a positive impact in the world.